Welcome back everyone. Time to do another iOS 14 battery video. I haven't done one yet, but I've done one for iOS 13 back in the day, I think. Now in the spirit of this video, I'm going to be charging my iPhone because obviously I'm almost dead. Now some of these things aren't just, proponent or perplexivary to the iOS 14 update itself. So these things can be used on iOS 13 and iOS 12, even iOS 11 for the most part, but there are more things for iOS 14 that you can save battery on that I'll go ahead and get into right now. Now the very first thing, in order to save the most amount of battery, in my opinion, off the bat, is limiting the amount of widgets that you have on your home display. So even on your side widgets. Now I'll get into it in a second. Now first of all, as you can see, as soon as I boot up my display, I have these types of widgets. I'm sure you guys know what they are. I've done 17,000 videos on them already, and you can see that they kind of take up not only some space on the panels, but sometimes a lot of these widgets could actually need a lot of refreshing in the background. Now as you can see, this battery widget is probably not going to take up that many battery percentages because it's just like a small little widget. It doesn't really need to refresh that much. It's just reading the battery percentage. However, something like this stock widget, which refreshes in the background every so often and then puts that up here, that could take up a little bit of battery life whether you realize it or not. Now one widget is not going to kill anybody, but if you have all these widgets on the side and if you have a ton of widgets throughout, just like on different pages and stuff, this could make it so it's going to refresh a lot of things in the background. So limiting the amount of widgets you have can ultimately increase the battery life. Now, like I said, this isn't really capable on iOS 13 or iOS 12, but still you get the idea. On iOS 14, this can actually make it so your battery life will be a little bit better over time. Now, it's not going to fix it just one day, but over time, it can get better. So that is the very, very first thing I would recommend you guys to do, is just deleting the widgets that you don't need, especially if they're ones that require a lot of background stuff, like the news one. That's a big one. The weather one, if you don't need it, as well as the stocks one. That's another really big one I would recommend you guys to go ahead and turn off. Now another thing I would recommend doing and turning off if your iPhone is capable of it is back tap. Now if you don't know what back tap is, basically on some iPhones, if you double tap the back of it right here, it'll go ahead and do something on your phone. Now in this case, I do have my iPhone 10 set up for back tap to be had, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it off just for the base of this video and probably forever because I'm going to forget about it. In order to do this, what you want to do is you want to make your way over to settings. Once you're here, you want to scroll down into accessibility, which is right here. Then once you're here, you want to scroll down into touch. It's not too far, it's right here. And once you're here, you want to scroll down into back tap. Now back tap is at the very bottom. It's like something that's so hidden. You want to go ahead and tap on it. And once you do, you'll see back tap here and back tap on the triple tap. What you can do is you can click double tap and you can click none. Now before I had it set up to screenshot or whatever, but now I'm setting up to none, and also for triple tap. Now what this does is basically whenever you double tap the back of your device, it basically won't, register those things anymore. So that's a really good thing. If you're somebody who uses back tap a lot, then obviously keep using it. But for this case, I don't want to use it. It sucks up a little bit of battery life and it's just a waste of battery in my opinion for this case. So that is something that'll save up a little bit of battery throughout. It'll, stop accidental touches and stuff. So that's a really huge thing I would recommend you guys to do. Now the other thing I would recommend you guys to do that you can do on really any iPhone, but on iOS 14 it means a lot more just because it's newer, is background app refresh. Now what this is basically, just like how widgets, a lot of apps, sometimes refresh in the background, and whether you like it or not, they can suck up your data, your mobile data, sometimes, but most of the time they can suck up a lot of battery life, whether you realize it or not. Now in order to get here, what you want to do is you want to go into your settings, you want to scroll down into general, which is right not there, you want to scroll up to general right there. You want to scroll down into background app refresh, which is right under iPhone storage, so right here. So you want to go ahead and click there. Now right here you'll see a bunch of apps. Now you want to keep background app refresh on for the most part unless you don't want to get any notifications anymore. And right now, I'll go ahead and give you an example. Okay, so Aquaparkio, I don't play that game at all. I don't want this game to be using any background resources when I'm not using that specific game. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and turn that off. And you can go through all your apps that you have and just basically do the same thing. Now I'll give you an example of an app not to turn off. Now in this case, if this was my personal phone, I would not turn off Snapchat because I want to get those Snapchat notifications if someone Snapchats me or whatever. I want to be notified of it. So in this case, you want to enable and keep Snapchat on, but apps like, like Netflix, I don't want to get any notifications from it. I really don't care about it. They're not sending me any notifications. And GBA for iOS, Fruit Ninja, apps like that, you want to go through and disable every single one. And just imagine like disabling each one is saving like a little bit of battery life. Not like it's going to equal out to like 3 times the battery life, but just imagine just kind of have that thought process going through. Now, something like Instagram, I would also want to keep that on because I care about those notifications. I want to get notifications when people DM me or something. So I'm going to keep that on. But again, Facebook I would keep on if I were you, and different things. But like some other ones, like the dead trigger, I don't really care. So go through all these, figure out which ones you like and don't like, and kind of go from there. Now, this next one is also within settings, and within iOS 14, we actually have the ability of turning off our exact precise location and giving them an estimated location, which is huge. And this saves a little bit of battery life as well. In order to do this, go into your settings. You want to scroll down into privacy, which is all the way down here. At this point, you want to go into location services, which is right here. And now you want to go through and figure out the apps that use your specific, location. So in this case, with Snapchat, for example, I would go and click here, and right at the very bottom it says precise location. You would probably want to give Snapchat your precise location, maybe not. In this case, it doesn't matter. But for every single one of these apps, you have that capability of keeping it on or off. And I would recommend you going through every single app that you don't want to give your precise location and disabling it. Now, you don't want to do this for Google Maps or Apple Maps or Waze or any other app that you use as like a GPS thing, because they need your exact location there. But for the most part, you want to go through and disable whichever ones you don't use in this case. Now, in the same breath, you want to go into system services, and you want to go ahead and go through each one of these and figure out which one of these you can turn off. But at the very bottom where it says significant locations, you want to go ahead and disable this. Now, if you're somebody who uses this, like if you're somebody who needs it for some reason and you want this to be there, then go for it. But even that sucks up a little bit of battery life too. So disabling significant locations will ultimately do you better in the long run. So that's another thing I would highly recommend you guys to disable is significant locations. Also down here, these things, product improvement, this basically just sends data back to Apple. You can go ahead and keep it on or you can keep it off. It's up to you, but that'll go ahead and fix it a little bit too. Now, the other thing that I've heard helps out a lot, I don't really do it too often because of a battery standpoint. I only do it because I don't want apps notifying me all the time. And that is disabling the amount of notifications you get. And this is kind of the same thing with background app refresh. So if we go into settings and if we scroll down into notifications, which is right here, you can go and see a bunch of different apps that you have, basically all the apps that you have. And what this will basically tell you is that, okay, these apps are all here. These apps are sending you notifications. And whether you like it or not, you can go ahead and disable it, which is huge. Now, each app you disable will go ahead and save a little bit of battery life as well, because it's not, figuring it out in the background and sending you apps and sending you notifications. So in this case with iTunes Store, for example, I have it so it's sending me all those notifications, and this is by default for almost all apps. This is pretty much the default for the most part. So what you can do is you can go ahead and just disable it up here and allow notifications. Or if you want to keep notifications on, you can go ahead and turn off sounds and badges and all these different things here. Now at this point I would just go ahead and disable it. So whichever app you don't want sending notifications, or maybe apps you don't really care about sending you notifications, I would go ahead and recommend turning them off. And you can see for the most part I have all these notifications off here, even TikTok and Instagram and everything, because this is not my personal phone. If it was, I would probably keep Instagram and all those things too. So that's another thing I would recommend doing. Now, another thing I would recommend doing is into your settings, you want to go into Siri and search, and you want to disable Siri suggestions and listen for Hey Siri. So first of all, listen for Hey Siri up here. I don't really want Siri to be able to go off whenever I call for it and call out for it. I really don't care. I barely ever use Siri, to be honest, and being able to have the option to disable it is huge. So that's a very important thing. That way it's not always listening to you saying Hey Siri and all that stuff. But also scrolling down, disabling suggestions while searching is another thing, and also pretty much all these things. This will basically make it so every time you swipe down from the top or whatever and you go and search through, it basically will make it so it won't just randomly recommend you a bunch of things. Basically up here, as you can see, it basically won't give you those Siri suggestions, which will help you in the battery department as well, which is another huge thing too. Now, another thing I would recommend you guys doing is going into your settings and disabling mail fetch for the most part, which is fetching new mail in the background. And what this is, basically, you go into settings, you want to scroll down into mail, which is right here. You want to scroll over to accounts, which is right here. You want to go ahead and click fetch new data, and you want to turn off push. And what this will basically do is as you guys know, it'll stop allowing you to just manually automatically get emails, you want to go ahead and disable this, and you want to go ahead and set this to manually. And basically this will make it so every time you go into the app, you can go ahead and refresh the emails. Now by doing this, you won't get the notification, so keep that in mind. But again, the Mail app won't just be running in the background the whole entire time, which is another big way to save battery life. Another thing you can do is also in the settings app is disabling raise to wake. So if you don't know what this is, basically every time you lift your phone up, it brightens up the screen and turns your phone on. Now if you like it, then keep it. If you don't like it or if you don't care, then disabling it will actually save a little bit of battery life. And disable it, you want to go into your settings. You want to go into display and brightness. You want to scroll down into raise to wake, and you want to go ahead and disable this off. Now, for me personally, I don't really care too much, but again, everything you disable for the most part will go ahead and save a little bit of battery life. So that's another very, very cool thing you can do. Now, the last thing I want to end off with is another new iOS 14 feature, and that is sound recognition. So basically, if there's a sound around you that sounds familiar and you have programmed it onto your iPhone, then it'll basically notify you that, oh, the doorbell rang or it's a fire truck or whatever. Now, if you're hearing impaired or something, then obviously by all means keep it on if you have a health reason to keep it on. But it does suck up a little bit of battery life, so if you want to disable it, you may not even know you have it on. What you want to do is you want to go into settings, you want to scroll down into accessibility, you want to scroll down sound recognition, which is all the way down here. You want to go and click it. You want to go ahead and disable it, which is right there. Now, like I said, if you want to keep it on, by all means keep it on, but in this case, I go ahead and turn it off. So those are just some ways on how you can save battery, a bunch of battery to be honest, on iOS 14. If you guys have any question or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. More importantly, everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.